So this is what it looked like a little over about 24 hours ago. It got a little bit tense, but Fine Run was at the plate, and this is how it ended. What a nice play to cap off another national championship. Jay Johnson has done it just twice since he got to LSU 4 years ago. Coach, congratulations. I know you've been talking about it endlessly, but it probably never gets old. How are you?
Doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me on again.
I know you've talked about 2 years ago. I think you mentioned in one of the interviews it was the greatest night of your life. Well, that was 2 years ago. What was Sunday night like?
We now have a tied for first, and very proud of both teams. You know, the first one is special because it's the first one. This one for a lot of reasons. I mean, we only had 12 players that actually played in a game for us last year in 2024 on this team, and blended that with 10 guys from the transfer portal, a couple JC players, and 10 freshmen, and all that talent became a team, and now legendary team is a national champion.
Yeah, and so much was made out of the team 2 years ago, but I have a feeling a lot is going to be made out of that. That team somewhat was expected. This team was not exactly the pick of the so-called experts.
Yeah, and they're great in different ways. And I've said this before, like I don't think you can get to Omaha anymore even unless you have future major league players on your roster. And our team certainly does, the number one pick with Paul Skeens, and we very well may have the number one pick again this year with Kate Anderson. But it was a lot more unknowns, Derek Curiel, freshman, one of our best players. We really hit on the guys in the transfer portal, not just from a talent standpoint, but a character standpoint, and they fit seamlessly into this thing. And this team was just as consistent as that team, and that was my favorite part about it. I mean, other than one hiccup weekend at Auburn, they pretty much dominated the schedule.
Coach, I remember when you were introduced, we talked to you the same day, and we were concentrating on your almost national championship out in Arizona. You've been to that precipice, and now you've done it twice in 4 years. You make it complicated because the expectations already higher than any place in America. Now it's almost out of control, but that's something I know that you embrace. So you're not running away from anything.
No, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I don't mean this like egotistically or arrogantly at all. I want Omaha to be my place in the world, and to get there, three times in the last 5 years, win a couple. This feels very, very special, and very, very proud of the players. And we want them to have a great experience here. We want it to be a training ground for their dream of being a major league player someday, and have a chance to compete for a championship, which this program here has always been about.
Coach Jay Johnson, I think it was so remarkable yesterday that you mentioned Skip Bertman because arguably the greatest of all time, and you've talked about it many times. But he built this program, and you are now continuing that legacy.
Yeah, and I've often said, I may have even said it to you at some point, the best part of being the head coach at LSU is the relationship I've been able to build with Coach Bertman. A long time ago, my dad, who was a very successful coach, taught me to pay attention to people who are the best at what they do that you want to do. And so as a young coach, right as I was breaking into the profession, that's right when Coach Bertman was retiring, right at the end of the dynasty here, 1991 to 2000. And I really paid attention. Before I even met him, I felt like I knew him because I'd studied his motivation and his program building and all of those things that turn this into the powerhouse of college baseball. So I have to pinch myself sometimes. I'm sitting at his kitchen table and we're talking about our team and baseball and coaching and leadership. And he's a friend, he's a mentor. And it's just, like I said, honestly been the best part of being the coach at LSU is the relationship I now have with Coach Bertman.
Coach, I remember sitting 5 weeks ago to just about this moment talking to various coaches in Hoover as the SEC was starting. And it almost becomes cliche when you have the resume that this league does. But how does this prepare you for what you accomplished yesterday?
Well, I think there's a good and a bad. And the good is you will not see anything in the NCAA tournament that you have not seen in the regular season. And our team, I think, was proof of that. but you got to survive it first. And that's not a given because the quality of competition on a week out basis is unbelievable. When you win one game in conference play, it feels like you really accomplished something. This is the place where the best coaches are, the best players, the programs with the most resources, the best fan bases. And it's challenging and at times exhausting a little bit. And you have to be able to weather the storm and be consistent as our team was. And that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of.
Coach, there may have been a time, maybe at the beginning of Coach Burtman's career, where you win a championship like this and you savor it and you maybe take a couple of weeks off and really enjoy. I know that's not the case anymore, but how do you celebrate something like this other than ask questions or answer questions about, can we do it again next year?
Yeah, I try to be really good at taking in the moments, taking a breath on the field at Charles Schwab Field, and they're playing the song that plays when we win at our home games, and look up in the crowd, and it's all purple and gold. And, just try to make sure I'm understanding that I'm living the best moments of my entire life right now. And I believe that. And at the same time, the transfer portal is rocking and rolling. I got a Zoom I got to do tonight with a player, and there was a player that right after we won game one of the championship series texted me and said, I'm not coming on my visit next week and I'm committing to another school. And I was like, well, you obviously didn't watch the game tonight, because I don't know how you could watch that and not be enticed to want to be a part of this, what we got going right now.
We had the opportunity while you were getting ready for the next game to talk to Matt Lee, the interim president, and he said something that is almost a signature of the state of Louisiana, how a program like yours becomes the de facto school in the state, and it brings people together even during difficult times. What have you experienced on that front?
Yeah, I think one of my draws to coming out here and accepting this job was the people, the thought of Southern hospitality. And, like the whole state is a family, and the whole state, at least here, runs through LSU. And so to feel that type of support and to have that many people really care about what you're doing, especially at an iconic program like LSU baseball, because of Coach Burtman. It's really, really inspiring. And, it sounds maybe a little sentimental, maybe a little bit corny, but one of the things that I appreciated about yesterday is, wow, this team, because it performed at such a high level, we made a lot of people happy in this state, and I'm really proud of that.
Coach Shea Johnson, 2 national championships in 4 years. Coach, I know you got a lot to do. We won't keep you, but thank you for making time for us. It's always great to see you.
You got it. We'll see you in the fall.
I can't wait. Wow, always inspired by that gentleman. Just one of the truly iconic coaches of this era, maybe of all eras when it's all over. We'll take